Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
I like to call my position the fire hydrant at the dog show. You know, you got to roll. You kind of just get pissed on, but hey, you got to roll and you got to do that to the best of your ability. And, I saw we signed Jordan. I got his number. I shot him a text. I said, hey, my job is to keep you clean. I got to get you to some Pro Bowls, but you're going to have to miss them because we're going to be still playing on, But I'm super excited, so humbled to be here. And, the messaging that I've been hearing is so on pace with how I believe that you win and you build a successful football team and franchise.
Football.
Harrison Phillips, man.
Well, these two guys, they are smooth.
I love Harrison, and I didn't hear as much of the Hicks press conference, but some of the stuff he was saying too.
Incredible.
Yeah, well, this is a new era of Vikings football that kind of feels like the same era of Vikings football in some ways too. We'll get into some of the discussion surrounding Kirk Cousins here on the Purple Daily Reads the Comments edition. But this is Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. Mackey, Judd, our executive producer, Declan Goff, and we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. 61 years. Let's go. It's time.
Please.
Presented by TCL. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. So, every week we comb through all of the different ways that you guys can hit us up. The Score North app is probably the best way to deliver long-form thoughts to us and feedback. The YouTube comment section on either Score North or Purple Daily. We got Score North Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And I feel like 50% or more of the comments lately, the last couple months, have been Kirk Cousins related. So the first one is from Gabe here. Gabe Lucas via the Score North app. He says, positive vibes from your most reckless listener. The people who criticize the show for talking too much about Kirk Cousins are morons. You guys literally run a Minnesota Vikings podcast, and they think you're not going to talk about the most pivotal moment and player in Vikings history the last handful of seasons. Like, what are you supposed to talk about? Declan's irrational fear of horses for 30 minutes straight and call it a day? Keep up the good work. It is like you're going into a restaurant, you're going into a steakhouse, and you're kind of mad that, like, why is the menu half steaks? Well, you walked into a steakhouse. What are you doing?
Yep, I've always said, like, what are we supposed to talk about? Like, let's break down the blocking tight ends.
Oh, they did sign one, right? Is it Johnny Mund?
Yeah.
Johnny Munt?
Yeah. Johnny Munt. Don't sleep on him.
It's Munt season. All right, Jeff via the Score North app says, I was very frustrated with the Kirk Cousins extension and share your concern about the lack of direction, but I think Judd is wrong in his diagnosis. I have worked in large organizations advising leadership on decision-making processes throughout my career. I think people would be shocked by how irrationally some of these decisions get made. One strong voice in a room can swing things to a really dumb place. To me, this reeks of leaders getting cold feet at the last minute regarding Kirk specifically and blowing up the plan. Judd is wrong to blame this on too many chefs in the kitchen. This is not a problem of collaboration. It's a problem of hierarchy. Billionaire owners think they're the smartest guys in the room, and you've said this, so you agree with this. The Wilfs appear to be scared of their own shadows. I've worked with leaders exactly like this. Meddling owners have always been a problem in pro sports. The Kirk extension could have happened much earlier if this was the plan. Remember, the hedging we heard from Kwesi and KOC was real in some of these press conferences. They could have been much stronger in their language if this was the plan at the time, and this would have happened weeks ago. To me, they were clearly hoping to trade him, or at least very open to the option if the return was right, and instead Kirk gets exactly what he wants at the last minute, and the team looks flat-footed entering free agency.
Wow.
I saw that note. I think we agree. So, like, the one thing is he's saying that I was wrong about too many chefs in the kitchen.
Well, you've been ripping collaboration.
Right, but the fundamental problem with collaboration is it puts too many people in the room to sway the important people.
This is where I think, and I agree with the emailer here. You want smart people chiming in. From there, you need to make a decision without people meddling over your head.
But you just said
the people in the room collaborating is not the problem.
Well, but
it's the people who make the final decision.
Actually, though,
that's the problem.
It is the people in the room, because you'd be amazed at how many times the loudest voice is not a person who belongs in the room, period. There's a lot of dumb people who get their way into sports, and that's the problem.
Declan raises his hand.
You, my friend, are young and green at times, but you know what you don't know, which makes you not dumb. There are people who get jobs. The Wilfs are swayed at times by people who aren't smart enough to be in the room. You actually need a weeding out person. If I could consult, and I'd love to consult. If I could consult for companies, I would be the weeding out.
Why don't you start a consulting firm? What's stopping you?
I would love to stop people at the door as they go into, I got to get my 2 cents, and say, you're not smart enough.
I need your sports ID. Here. Show me your sports ID. Oh, sports ID. Sorry.
And I need to give you the Zolgadian Wonderlick, because there's a chance you don't qualify. That doesn't mean you're fired. It does mean sit down, shut up, go do your job.
Yeah. I can't unsee movie on Twitter. That's his handle. One thing I'd love for you guys to recklessly speculate about.
Reckless speculation.
If John Lynch called Kwesi and asked, would Kirk waive his no-trade clause for his BFF Kyle Shanahan if we sent you Trey Lance and a couple mid-round picks? What are the chances on Kwesi saying yes? And then Brittany Fanning, via the Score North app, says, I know there's a no-trade clause, but I'm wondering if Kirk would waive it to take a trade somewhere if he wanted to. San Francisco, the Baker situation in Cleveland. Kirk's getting paid either way now that he's under contract, so I don't see why he would care. Well, I don't like to say never, I guess, now that I've already been burned on. There's no chance that I said there's a 100% chance that they will trade Kirk, and obviously I was wrong on that. I mean, I don't think if he would have to say yes to it. He's already put out all these platitudes and stuff about staying in Minnesota. And the Vikings, from their perspective, I think the way the contract is set up, would have to swallow a ton of dead cap money now. So I just don't see, even with the landscape shifting here, like he's the quarterback for the next 2 years, unless I'm missing something.
It's over. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like you would, I believe if the information that we pulled off over the cap yesterday is correct, I believe you would cripple yourself completely.
Yeah, and now maybe there's something we're missing there, but yes,
right.
But there's a ton of dead cap money now tied up here. So I think the question off this is, did the Vikings jump the gun? They had to get something done to free up cap space and to become cap compliant by Wednesday. But now that you're seeing all of this stuff play out, like Cleveland is left holding an empty bag, right? They lost out on Deshaun Watson, and then they were kind of like, oh, okay, Baker. And Baker's like, I'm playing here anymore. I think Matt Ryan makes a lot of sense in Cleveland. But the Colts, Jimmy G is going to go somewhere. But Carolina, empty bag. The Browns, empty bag. The Colts, empty bag.
Yes.
You're telling me not one of these teams is offering a second first-round pick for Kirk Cousins?
And they had called, right? Carolina had called. The Colts had called. The Browns had called. So, like, you had your chance. Yeah, I don't understand it. I just don't.
The no-trade clause just gives Kirk all the leverage still. Because Kirk could, if he wanted to, if wanted to bail to someone else, he would call that shot. He'd be the one to call that shot. But it's like Deshaun Watson right now being able to call his shot with his no-trade clause.
But they've crippled themselves financially. So the finances of the contract basically serve as a no-trade clause, even if you didn't have the no-trade clause in the contract.
Yeah.
It's just too late.
Now it's more like on the Viking side, they've made the commitment now financially, so it doesn't make sense. Lotto Samuel via Twitter says, people are really defending a man who has made over $200 million in his career and calling other players selfish when it's their turn to get paid. Like, I can't be the only one who sees this as odd, right? There's a lot of Vikings, Cousins Crusader, Vikings bloggers and podcasters that are definitely lining up to rip Danielle Hunter now. They act like Danielle Hunter isn't top 5 at his position. I get that there should be hesitancy paying him because of injuries, but come on now. Cousins Crusaders have never really made me mad until now. I think the key to this discussion is paying players proportionately to how good they are at their position. So, like Danielle Hunter, when he's healthy, is one of the 5 best edge rushers in the NFL. Maybe even like one of the 2 or 3 best edge rushers in the NFL. Cousins is like the 12th or 14th best quarterback, still, even after the restructure, getting paid the 5th or 6th highest cap hit in the NFL. So, like, you got to take that into consideration. I have no problem paying for premium positions, but I'd like to pay proportionately based on how good you are at your position. And the beef with Cousins has always been, first and foremost, that his value is out of whack. Not that he's a garbage quarterback, but that his value is out of whack.
And don't you build up your entire roster as a puzzle? So, like, if you're going to keep Kirk, you keep Danielle. Like, to me, it's not, well, we kept Kirk, and that's great. Danielle's gone now. It's like, what if you want to give yourself a chance to be clearly as competitive as they think, it fits together, right? Like, okay, Danielle's here, Kirk's here. So that's what I don't get. It's almost like, in one sense, they're like, we are going to rebuild. Oh, cool. On defense.
You know what value's out of whack? Judd's internet.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're paying against the cap to your internet.
Not again.
You got to restructure, man.
You got to restructure.
You got to go
that
to your
internet.
agent, put a void year somewhere, open up some space.
Son of a buck. It worked all day till now.
Son of a buck.
It's that time. We got a few more Kirk questions here too. By the way, if you're gonna like duck out and refresh, why don't you tell us what could really ease your frustrations right now, beverage wise?
That'd be a Surly. And it would be very appropriately a Surly Furious, which is the best beverage as far as I'm concerned in town. It is the ultimate free agent acquisition, has all upside, and is the first overall draft pick when it comes to your favorite beers, Surly Furious. I hope you're drinking one now. I certainly am being driven crazy and hence am furious at my internet.
All right, we'll let you. Maybe we should
jump
put
back
Judd in the green room here and let him fix that. Also, hey, Federated Insurance. They've been around for over 100 years, based in Owatonna, Minnesota. Big supporters of some Minnesota sports franchises like the Timberwolves, the United, the Gophers. And they do a great job acting as an offensive line for your business, protecting against risks and helping to maximize the success of your business. You can find a full list of industries that Federated specializes in at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours.
You like that? You like that?
All right. Christoire via the Score North app. He says, I'm filling a jar with 34 stones, removing one after each Sunday until Kirk is gone. But here I am as a full-blown Kirk hater contemplating the following. In the last 24 months, Shanahan, McVay, Reich, Stefanski, Matt Rule have all inquired about trading for Kirk. Kevin O'Connell apparently wants to keep him. Pete Carroll is a fan. I don't know if I've seen that one, but all of those coaches, with the exception of Matt Rule, are widely respected. All but Rule and Carroll are considered to be good or great offensive minds. Why is it that these coaches would want Kirk as their quarterback while every fan with a brain wants nothing to do with him? Where is the disconnect? And I will say, Dex, this is another one where nobody with a brain thinks he's a garbage quarterback. So let's get that straight first and foremost. These guys probably look at him without like the cap number attached and say, "Oh, he's accurate. You know, he's rarely train wrecking games, and he would fit in as a good system quarterback." Also, a lot of these guys, think about Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo will train wreck a game. Flaws, right? Sean McVay was coming off Jared Goff before they landed Matthew Stafford. Frank Reich, you know, they were going through like old Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz train wreck a game. Some of this is these guys are Stefanski with Baker Mayfield. It's not that they think Kirk is a god or a top 5 quarterback. It's that compared to the guys that they've had to deal with, Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz imploding games, you know, Jared Goff, Kirk is a cold glass of water in a desert. So I think that's what you're seeing with some of these guys. And they think like he's accurate and he can run my system and drive my car efficiently.
I think external people like national talking heads and analysts, ESPN, NFL Network, etc., I think they view Kirk Cousins in a similar vein that this show does, in that, yeah, he's good, makes a lot of money, doesn't rise up in big expectations, in big situations and deliver. And then the local fans who so basically Washington or Minnesota, it's either diehard ones like, no, you don't understand how good he is. Everything is against it. And then there's some people who are just locally like, no, this guy's awful. I want nothing to do with him. I think nationally people think, no, he's a solid 12th to 14th good quarterback, puts up good statistics, but isn't in that elite echelon. So I understand why other teams would want to get him, because it's a solid QB that can help you get to where you want to be, but also his ceiling is so low that eventually once you start looking at him and there's enough evidence out, you realize, oh, we can be relevant, but we can't necessarily be contenders yet. He's yet to buck that trend.
Yep. Also, think about the difference between looking at a house that's on the market from a distance and looking at it online versus living in that house every single day. You start to see the flaws, right? The 20 pictures I saw on Zillow looked really fantastic, and then you get in there and there's like, oh, okay, there's a weird creak in the floor over here, and there's an ant infestation down here, right? Like when you look at Kirk from afar, you see, whoa, look at the numbers. Oh, 30 touchdowns and 4,000 picks. But then when you watch him on a regular basis, and you can start to line stats up to this too, you see that he really struggles when pressured. You see that late in games when the opposing team knows he has to throw, and stats back this up too, his effectiveness sinks far lower. So again, is he garbage? No. But from afar, especially when you're desperate for a new house, Kirk Cousins is a pretty appealing option. And even with the criticisms, he's still one of the 15 best quarterbacks in the world. So should we try Judd again? I want Judd to hear this next one because it does involve some criticism.
Is it working?
It looked like in the background you were fine, and the moment I popped you on, you're back to the same gremlins that are hindering you a little bit.
It's workable enough, and we can limp to the finish line. You've got like a sprained MCL right now, but you're going to stay in the game with a knee brace, and you're going to tough it out.
Tough. Yeah.
All right. So Dave in South Carolina chimes in via Twitter here. Mackie, you are one of the most ridiculous media members I've ever listened to. What is your next take after that video suggesting Colin Kaepernick could be considered? Which, by the way, we were just answering questions from all of you guys last week. Judd has really lost his fastball as a beat writer, and Royce has always been a has-been. You have severely incapacitated your original radio product, and you have no athletic bone or mind in your body for that matter. Dave in South Carolina.
Well, by there.
It's our old friend.
The last one.
Dave just turning on us.
The heel turn.
Oh, my God.
Dave hates us now.
Do you feel like you've lost your fastball, Judd?
Nothing
you know what?
Bad was said about me. I'm fine.
Yeah, good point. You know what? I have, but I'm crafty now. Like I'm throwing some slop up there. It's curveballs, slurves, ephuses.
The gyro ball? Wasn't that the dice game?
I'm a right-handed Jamie Moyer.
You're Jamie Moy. You're like a second half Barry Zito. You're still looping in that big looping curveball,
Exactly.
but like the velocity's down a little bit.
Oh, it's way down. It's way down.
I agree with that we have severely incapacitated our original radio product. Yes, we have. It is now a podcast network.
Yeah.
So you're right.
The original product is no longer what it was. That's a very good point, Dave. Thank you.
Matthew Sperling via the Score North app says, how much better does Kirk Cousins need to play with Kevin O'Connell in order to prove that Zim and the rotating offensive coordinators were the problem? Do you expect an increase in productivity with KOC? If so, how much? Kirk stands are of the belief that play calling has held Kirk back, and with a better play caller, that his play will go to the next level.
Yes, I believe that Kirk can be improved, but I don't know that Kirk can completely change who Kirk is, which becomes important at key junctures of games. And so, yeah, I think the relationship will be better. I think that's going to help Kirk, but do I think Kirk will become a completely different person because of that? No, I don't. Mm-hmm. And to win a Super Bowl, I think the mental wiring would have to be different.
Yeah. I have some stats that we can do a deeper dive into this once the free agency period's over and we kind of know what the Vikings are dealing with. But under pressure, Cousins was 32nd in the NFL among all the quarterbacks, 32nd in yards per attempt under pressure last year. Now, there's like 40 or 45 qualified quarterbacks because of injuries and stuff, but so he's not last, but 32nd in yards per attempt when pressured. Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford were number 1 and number 2 on that list. Russell Wilson was 3rd. So when people look at now, Cousins is excellent when he's not pressured. But one of the first, and again, can Kevin O'Connell fix this? I don't know. Can you eliminate pressure altogether? No. Can you make it better for him? Yes. But like, you're going to get pressured in football games in the National Football League. What can Kevin O'Connell do to help Kirk Cousins be better when faced with pressure? Are there route concepts that he can build in that, hey, if the floodgates open on the right side, you've always got this built in, things that weren't built into the old system? Or does he just get too flustered under pressure regardless of the system? Like, that's going to have to be unlocked. So
and my question is this as well. Can O'Connell get Kirk to do things Kirk is not comfortable doing? I don't know.
A lot of one-liners I could have gone with there, but I just I am a mature adult, and I'm going to keep them.
Yes, Baker, you are a mature quarterback. You're an adult playing quarterback, but can you get Kirk to make throws to Jefferson that Kirk traditionally does not like or does not want to make?
Yeah,
because you're going to have to do that.
Yeah. Okay, Mike Malkovich via the Score North app says, here's what I think their plan is. 2022, Kirk is the QB1. Let as many bad contracts play out as possible while they just kick the can down the road on Thielen. 2023, Kirk is the QB1, but use a first-round draft pick on a quarterback of the future who sits behind Kirk and develops. 2024, new quarterback takes over, lots of cap space, and a new young core for a Super Bowl window. Young quarterback and Kirk, dead cap still doable. And then Aaron Hunt chimes in along the same lines. Is it possible that the Vikings are retaining Kirk Cousins on a 2-year contract in order to develop a quarterback for 2024? Hear me out. This year they came into a rough spot with limited time to get things in order. By restructuring Kirk for 2 years, it gets them under the cap this year, puts them in a position to draft a quarterback in 2023 to sit for a year. I think it's very likely they draft a quarterback in 2023.
I think it absolutely is. I guess my question is, if you're going to run things back and be as hopeful as the Wilfs are, though, do you have the ability now to build out the roster for 2022? And my response is it doesn't appear that way. It just does not.
Yeah, they'd have to really be wizards with additions for this offseason.
And they're already trying.
Yeah, I keep going back to J.C. Treader. I mean, J.C. Treader would be a game changer because he's one of the top 5 centers in the NFL. So I think my biggest question here is, if you re-signed Kirk because, we just kind of want to see for the next 2 years, and your real plan is to go into a new era in 2024, it just seems odd. I don't even think you're thinking about 2024 right now. I mean, none of the moves that they've made so far have suggested we're thinking about 2024. The moves they've made are for 2022 and 2023, right?
Yep. And I know that some people disagree with what I'm about to say, but I just don't see a guy who makes as much as Kirk as a bridge player. I think of a bridge quarterback as being, hey, we're paying you, but we're not paying you great, and you're going to get us to, it doesn't feel like Kirk would ever be described with his payday and plus his own assessment of himself as a bridge type of player. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion, though. So
yeah. And by the way, if you really wanted a bridge quarterback, which they clearly don't view Kirk as a bridge quarterback for the reasons you just said, there were plenty of opportunities to trade him for a couple of draft picks and then save money and sign a cheaper bridge quarterback. Those options were out there, and they chose, nope, we'd rather not take the draft capital because we want to keep running this thing with Kirk. And then Crom's Corner via the Score North app says, I can't believe you mentioned the 13% of the cap quarterback stat. So no team has ever won a Super Bowl with a quarterback taking up more than 13% of the cap. I can't believe you mentioned that again after the Rams just won it all, spending only $137 million on active players. I haven't heard you mention once how much money the Vikings spent on defense only to finish near last. You should write horoscopes or work for Fox News, as you're great at utilizing your hubris to enable yourself to lie by omission because deep down you know that your fans are all rubes. Literally double that stat. 26% was spent by the Rams on ghosts, meaning Jared Goff's dead money. That stat is dumb. Well, here's the best part about statistics. You can always find an outlier to prove your point, which I think is what Crom's Corner is trying to do here. So people brought this to my attention on the 13% quarterback number and tried to throw it back in my face and see, Jared Goff's dead money this. So I went back the last 10 years and all right, you want to play that game? Okay. Let's take starting quarterback cap money plus all dead cap money on every Super Bowl winning team the last 10 years. So how much was tied up in your starting quarterback and all of the players that you're paying for but aren't actually on your roster? The Rams are the only Super Bowl winner, and I only went back 10 years. I'm sure you can go back further. The Rams are the only Super Bowl winner above 25%, and they were at 38% of their money was either dead cap or Matthew Stafford in 2021. So you can do what you want with that information. You can say, see, you can tie up a bunch of money into a quarterback and dead money and win a Super Bowl and build your blueprint after that. Or you can look at the other 9 examples and say, oh, leaving money available to build out a team. It's like if I see 100 people jump off of a bridge and 99 of them die and drown, but one of them swam to safety. See, you can survive jumping off a bridge. That guy did. I'm probably going to go with the 99. I'm probably going to go with, the majority when it comes to roster construction. So congratulations, you are right. I am wrong.
I'm not sure about you, Dex.
You can win a Super Bowl spending a lot of money on starting quarterbacks.
That's what I'm hearing. Typical Mackey hubris.
Typical Mackey.
Oh, man. Just, 100 people try to cross the freeway. 98 get hit by a car. 2 don't. See, you can see.
Are you saying Kirk can't do exactly what Stafford did? Or are you saying that Kirk and Stafford aren't the same player? I mean, come on. They're the same player.
Matthew Stafford, best quarterback in the NFL under pressure yards per attempt. Throwing no-look passes under pressure in the Super Bowl.
And willing to throw picks.
They're the same guy. They're the same guy, though.
And he's willing to throw picks.
Yeah.
The willingness to throw picks, I'm not saying it's a great thing, but there's a somewhere in between there where you got to take some chances.
Yeah, don't be Jameis Winston, just like rat-tat-tat-tat-tat, 30 interceptions.
Be Terry Bradshaw circa 1974.
Yeah. I love 70s football. Guys just dropping back, throwing cigarette hanging out of their mouth. Just
U2 rabbit hole, baby. Go down it this weekend. Oh, it's great.
All right, that's Purple Daily. By the way, we are still we've raised several $1,000s for the Minneapolis North class of 2024. ScoreNorth.com/Hill. We're trying to raise money in honor of Deshaun Hill Jr., who was tragically killed a few weeks back, a couple months back. And we partnered with Minneapolis North and Jazz 88 to raise money for what would have been his graduating class to try and give some kids a better chance to get to college and succeed full throttle. So if you have $5 or $500 to spare, scorenorth.com/Hill, HILL, and there's instructions for how you can donate. So, all right, dudes, emergency episodes on tap this weekend, I'm sure, once Danielle Hunter gets resolved. So we'll see you guys.